The Toyota Prius is known throughout the entire world for being a very eco-friendly vehicle and the first for making hybrids mainstream in 2004. And this fourth generation Prius builds upon the reputation, adding better styling, driving dynamics, and most important of all, fuel efficiency. So let's go ahead and check out this all-new redesigned 2016 Toyota Prius.
Audio Jungle.
Now with this fourth generation Prius, Toyota wanted to put more emotion into its design, and while it certainly looks more interesting, some might say it looks more polarizing this time around. It certainly does take styling cues from Toyota's fuel cell vehicle, the Mirai, and it does look less slab-sided this time around, especially when you get to the rear of the vehicle. Now our model of the Prius we have here is the 2. It comes with these pretty conservative looking 15-inch alloy wheels, I have to say. And then you also do have LED headlights, which do come standard, which is nice. Here goes the key fob design for the vehicle. Very unique key fob, smart key fob for Toyota's Prius here. It looks a lot different than the rest of Toyota's lineup with their smart keys. And you have your remote keyless entry, you have your lock, unlock, and then your panic button. Now this color is known as the classic silver metallic. We also do have smart key access on the driver's door and the front passenger door. Also comes with a full-on black cloth interior. Full manual driver's seat adjustments. Power driver's seat is optional, of course. Now stepping on inside of the new Prius's interior, it features a wraparound cockpit this time around, and it certainly gives it a much more spacious feeling inside of here. Last generation Prius kind of felt claustrophobic, especially for the front occupants. And this high gloss black interior trim that's accenting the dashboard certainly gives it a much more premium vibe. One styling trait that they did keep on the Prius is the central mounted gauges, which I'm not a huge fan of, and I'll let you guys know why in just a second. And it does have push button ignition, of course. Just put your foot on the brake and hit the button to start. It does come standard on every Prius.
Spot.
Coming to your transmission, you have a CVT automatic, and in typical Prius fashion, you go down for drive like this, up for reverse. When you put the vehicle into reverse, it displays your rear view camera with guidance lines, and you also do have regenerative braking. You just go down like this for the B, and then you go push for park. Easy as that. And I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the lights and the hazards. All windows are fully automatic in the Prius. Let's go ahead and pop up the hood and check out the engine bay. Now, if you didn't know, these little small fins right here actually help out with the aerodynamics of the Prius. You'll also find this on many other of Toyota's models, such as the Camry. "15-inch alloy wheels. Coming up front, you have LED headlights. The headlights certainly look a lot more sharp and angular this time around. Now powering the Prius here is the very familiar 1.8 liter inline 4-cylinder gas engine paired with 2 electric motors. Combined, they produce 121 horsepower at 5,200 RPM, but that's not the important number. The important number here is the MPG. You're looking at 54 in the city and 50 on the highway. Excellent fuel economy numbers there. Overall, the fuel economy numbers have certainly improved over the last generation Prius, and this is about the best you can get out of a gas-only vehicle. Now, pricing of the Prius starts at the base 2 model, which is what we have here, which starts at $24,200. And then every trim and up above the 2 model is going to get better fuel economy numbers of 58 in the city and 53 on the highway. The 2 Eco model, which is a step up above the 2, starts at $24,700. The 3 starts at $26,250. The 3 Touring starts at $28,100. The 4 starts at $28,650. And then finally the 4 Touring starts at $30,000. Now, competitors of the Prius, there's many competitors. You could go for the Ford Fusion Hybrid, the Chevrolet Volt, the BMW i3, the Honda Accord Hybrid. There's many competitors for the Toyota Prius. The total vehicle price, you're looking at $25,260. Like I said, EPA estimates are 54 in the city and 50 on the highway. On the top right here, you have a shark fin antenna, a rear window wiper with a rear window defroster. The Prius features a liftback design. And coming to the rear of the vehicle, this is where a lot of the design cues from Toyota's Mirai shows up. You have LED taillights, very interesting design of the taillights. Of course, all of your basic power necessities, power windows, power door locks, and your power mirrors. Chrome interior door handles. Build quality and materials have slightly improved over the last generation Prius. There are some hard touch plastics that do abound inside of here, such as the upper door panel. The mid door panel is also hard touch plastic. On the armrest, that's nice and soft touch at least. Up here on the dashboard, it's all this hard touch plastic. However, the grading of the plastics do not feel as cheap as they did in the last generation. The last generation Prius had very chintzy interior materials and they felt very, very cheap. Build quality is also pretty good inside of this Prius here. It's much improved over the last generation. And no interior trim and pieces creak a whole lot. They do fit well together for the most part. Overall, build quality and materials are improved over the last generation. There is a need for slight improvement when it comes to its materials for sure. Now, the steering wheel design language is very stylish in the Prius, and you have this high gloss black trim surrounding some of the audio controls and some of the controls over here. Now, coming to your controls over here, you have your steering wheel mounted audio controls, Bluetooth phone controls, as well as your voice recognition. Over here, we have your controls that controls the information center, which I will get to in just a second. Over here, we have a little storage cubby, dual cup holders. The Prius also features a very traditional center console layout. Center console storage is pretty good in the Prius. It's actually kind of deep, and then you also do have this tray right here. It's also nice and soft touch, and it's wrapped in cloth. The seating comfort in the Prius is also pretty good. Decent amount of thigh support, and the side bolstering is also decent as well. The headrests are a little firm, but these seats I would certainly take on a longer trip. As far as visibility goes in the Prius, it's okay. It's not the best. There could be a little bit more glass area on the side windows right here on the front. And then seeing out of the windshield is okay, but if you are a shorter driver, it can be a little bit harder to see since the dash is mounted pretty high. When you get to rearward visibility, it's pretty hard to see out of the rear due to the very thick C-pillar. But at least they do have that split window design, which helps out a little bit. Coming to the climate controls, it is pretty easy to understand and it is well laid out. The buttons are a decent size. You do have automatic climate control, and as you just heard, the gas engine just kicked in. You do have your temperatures on the side right here, and then your fan speed is in the center, and then your different zones. The buttons also do feel very high quality. They don't feel as cheap as the last generation. And then you have your recycling right here too. Now coming to the infotainment system, this is called Toyota's Entune system. And we've seen this many times here before. There is a larger optional touchscreen available that has navigation and everything on it. However, this is the base touchscreen interface here. Now coming to your different audio sources, we do have AM, FM, your CD player with your optical disc drive, USB port with iPod integration, Bluetooth streaming audio, and your auxiliary input, all of the norm here. Coming to setup right here, you could change many different settings from the language, if you want the beep on or off, the keyboard layout, the color theme. I also love how there's a back button on every single menu. And then you have your voice settings, if you want to change the voice volume. Display settings, you could change the brightness and the contrast. Bluetooth settings, hook up your Bluetooth phone. Audio settings, number of radio presets, if you want to display the cover art or not. Vehicle customization gives you your door lock settings, climate settings, lights, all that good stuff. The touchscreen is also pretty darn responsive too. And then you also do have your seek and track button right here, and then if you want to go straight to your phone, you have this little phone button right here. And then these are also touch sensitive buttons on the side right here, and they're calibrated very well. Coming to car right here, shows you your energy monitor and the battery flow, and then you have your trip information right here, shows you your average speed, elapsed time, and then your fuel range. Pretty cool there. Overall, love Toyota's Entune system. It's very responsive, very user-friendly, and is one of the best interfaces in the business. The steering wheel also does manually tilt and telescope in the Prius. There's an okay range of adjustment on the telescoping, but not so much on the tilting. You also do have intermittent windshield wipers as well. Now coming to your different drive modes, this is the button right here for it, and it shows you up here what mode you're in. You have your normal mode, your power mode for when you're going on a steep hill or you're merging onto a freeway. And then your eco mode, of course, is the most fuel efficient setting. And then you have an EV mode, which is for your electric mode. Now, one styling detail I love of the Prius, which is pretty cool, is it has the little Prius symbol on the air vents right here. Pretty cool there. Nice little styling detail. Now let's get to the gauges and the whole instrument cluster here. Now, like I said, with this generation Prius, Toyota has stuck with the central mounted gauges, which is kind of a bad thing because these central mounted gauges are kind of distracting and they're out of the eyesight of the driver, which is not a good thing, and it is kind of distracting at times. Now, this little information center right here is controlled by the buttons on the steering wheel, and it shows you a little mini energy monitor, which is pretty cool. Also shows you your HV system indicator, your fuel consumption record, shows you a little bar graph, and then your drive monitor, your eco savings, shows you your fuel costs, which is pretty cool, and then your eco diary. And then over here you have your settings, like the clock settings, customize the meter, vehicle settings, any warning messages for the vehicle. Then you could control your climate control functions from here too. pretty cool there. And then over here we have your digital clock, and then it also shows you what gear you're in too right there. And then coming on to this left part right here, this left screen, shows you your digital speedometer, shows you your fuel gauge too, and then your odometer, your average fuel economy, and then your exterior temperature readout. Up here you also do have a manually dimming rearview mirror, sunglass container, and then you have your map lights. Now perhaps one key area where the Prius greatly improved on is its driving dynamics. Now it's like night and day between this generation Prius and the last generation, and it doesn't feel as numb behind the wheel. It's actually somewhat engaging to drive. It feels precise, and you can finally feel for where this vehicle is trying to go, which is an important key area for many consumers. Now the fuel economy is still excellent, and the 1.8 liter 4-cylinder certainly provides an okay amount of power for the vehicle. If it wasn't for the pair of electric motors, then this vehicle would feel pretty anemic behind the wheel. But the fuel economy is certainly the Prius's key area here, and it averaged about 48 mpg when I tested it out. The ride quality is also still fairly comfortable for the Prius, and it soaks up road bumps fairly well. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. Let's go ahead and check out the rest of the vehicle. The rear seats also do fold down to maximize cargo space for the Prius. They do fold down 60-40 split as well. Cargo space is not too shabby for the Prius. In fact, it's much better than the Chevrolet Volt. Build quality and materials do follow through in the rear of the vehicle. Hard touch plastic on the upper door panel, mid door panel. Soft touch on the armrest, however. Now, Toyota actually decreased the rear seat legroom for this generation Prius. I don't know why. But back here, the rear seat legroom isn't too shabby. I have the driving position to where mine would be at. I'm about 6 feet tall. The headroom is not too bad either. It's much better than the Chevrolet Volt, I'll tell you that. And back here you will find dual map pockets, a 12-volt power outlet, as well as a rear center armrest with cup holders, and you also do have rear adjustable headrests. The seats themselves are also actually quite comfortable. They're actually nice and plush, and thigh support isn't too shabby. Alright. Full manual passenger seat. Glove box compartment. Nice and damp. So the 2016 Toyota Prius improves on many key areas where the last generation was lacking. If you're looking for an eco-friendly vehicle for 2016, you'd be crazy to not put the 2016 Toyota Prius on your list. So remember that this is Cameron Birch from Cameron's Car Reviews.